Good morning, everyone. As always, place your cross on first, no matter what's going on in your life. If you live for God, if you love God, seek Him, talk to Him, communicate with Him, develop a personal relationship with Him. I understand in this world we got so much things to keep our minds occupied. But I'm gonna tell you something. Once you start seeking God, no matter what your eyes may be watching, God's voice, the thought of God is gonna continually be on your mind for this and that. You'll see it. You can be watching your favorite show and God will speak to you through that. Just seek Him. You'll start seeing Him way more often than you think. He said, I will be found of them that seek me. What you think? That's a commandment, almost. I will be found of them that seek me. So what makes people think that they can just walk in church one Sunday and get their life to God and just go on about their life? I'm good now. Nah, you good, but you ain't finished. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. Amen. For the last week and a half, probably, I've been talking about angels, strangers, entertaining strangers. Like sometimes we can be an angel to somebody. And sometimes it's a real live angel that's right before you. But like he said, I will be found of them that seek me. The more you seek Him, the more you're going to see these things. The Bible said there's nothing new under the sun. He said, I'm the same yesterday, today, and forever. So if He's the same yesterday, today, forever, the things that He did in the Old Testament, has He stopped doing? No. People just are not seeing. He said a generation this day is seek a sign. Adulterous generation seeketh after a sign. But there'll no sign be given them except reproof, repenting. You see God when you seek God. If you ain't seeking God, how can you expect to see what you're not seeking after? You know, I know I'm rambling right now, but you know there's a lot of people trying to find God. And to get to God, they might go through a lot of false gods, a lot of false idols. But it's how we found of them that seek me. One of the best things any person in this world can do is acknowledge that there is a God and start seeking Him. You might go through this, might go through that. But if you're seeking God, the true God, He will reveal it to you. Anyway, let's go back to the lesson. Strangers, entertaining angels. Let's go to Judges chapter 13. And the children of Israel did evil again in the sight of the Lord, and the Lord delivered them into the hand of the Philistines 40 years. And there was a certain man of Zorah, of the house family of the Dainties, whose name was Manoah, and his wife was barren and bare nine. And the angel of the Lord appeared unto the woman, and said unto her, Behold now, thou art barren, and bearest not, but thou shalt conceive and bear a son. Sound familiar? Now therefore beware, I pray thee, and drink not wine nor strong drink, and eat not anything unclean. For lo, thou shalt conceive and bear a son, and no razor shall come on his head. For the child shall be a Nazarite unto God from the womb, and he shall begin to deliver Israel out of the hand of the Philistines. Now remember, in the Old Testament, he said the angel of the Lord will go before you to direct your path. So think about this now. When you start doing the things that please to the Lord, keeping His commands, living a life that's pleasing to Him, right? It's a fact that the angel of the Lord can go before you. It's a fact. So you're going to have spiritual encounters. That's why they're having a spiritual encounter. I guess their works and acts were pleasing to the Lord. They decided to bless them with a son, which was part of His plan in the first place. Then the woman came and told her husband, saying, A man of God came unto me, and his countenance was like the countenance of an angel of God. Very terrible. Now, in this case, this was a fearful angel. Now, think about this now. The Bible says the fear of the Lord is the beginning of understanding. Now, when they say angel of the Lord, you might well say that's the Lord Himself. When they say angel of the Lord, it's a difference. You see, in the Old Testament, He say angel of the Lord. The angel of the Lord got all knowledge, can forgive sins. Just come on now. So she was scared. You see, a lot of people expect the angel to look like the people, the drawings you see in all these buildings and stuff. And man, come on. Some of them could be like that, but who knows? I don't even know what the wing. I haven't read the Bible when somebody had an encounter and it was like the man had wings on his back. I don't know where all that stuff come from. But he said unto me, behold, thou shalt conceive and bear a son, and now drink no wine nor strong drink, neither eat any unclean thing, for the child shall be a Nazarite to God from the womb to the day of his death. Then Manoah entreated the Lord and said, O my Lord, I will be found of them that seek me. Then I say that? Then Manoah entreated the Lord and said, O my Lord, let the man of God which thou didst send come again unto us. I think he said, you have not because you ask not. But if you ask anything according to his will, he will do. Right? Here's Manoah, good man, fears God, sought God. God came. Which thou didst send to come again unto us, and teach us what we shall do unto the child that shall be born. And God hearkened to the voice of Manoah. Why? Because it's his will. And the angel of God came again into the woman as she sat in the field. But Manoah, her husband, was not heard. And the woman made haste and ran and showed her husband and said unto him, behold, the man hath appeared unto me that came unto me the other day. Now, if you read between the lines, he had a visitation from someone very special, very important in the Christian faith. I'm just leave that there. Let you figure it out on your own. And Manoah arose and went after his wife, and came to the man and said unto him, art thou the man that speaketh unto the woman? And he said, I am. I am. I am. Tell him I am has sent you. I am he. And Manoah said, now let thy words come to pass. How shall we order the child, and how shall we do unto him? And the angel of the Lord said unto him, Manoah, of all that I said unto the woman, let her beware. Now I'm going to tell it to you too. She may not eat of anything that cometh of the vine, neither let her drink wine or strong drink, nor eat any unclean thing. All that I commanded her, let her observe. Now remember, these commandments are for her. These are very specific for her. Lord didn't appear to everybody and said, don't let a razor appear come across their head. You know, he did somebody else similar to this. Who else was a Nazarite from God? Samuel. Samuel's mother, Hannah, received similar instruction from the Lord. And Manoah said unto the angel of the Lord, I pray thee, let us detain thee until we shall have made ready a kid for thee. And the angel of the Lord said unto Manoah, though thou detain me, I would not eat of thy bread. And if thou wilt offer a burnt offering, thou must offer it to the Lord. Manoah knew not that he was an angel of the Lord. Why did they say that? He didn't know that he was talking to the Lord himself in the form of an angel. And Manoah said unto the angel of the Lord, what is thy name? That when thou sayest come to pass, we may do thee honor. And the angel of the Lord said unto him, why askest thou thus after my name, seeing it is secret? Now, the Lord could have been like, Jesus. But he didn't. So Manoah took a kid with a meat offering and offered it upon the rock unto the Lord. And the angel did one, and Manoah and his wife looked on. For it came to pass, when the flame went up toward heaven from off the altar, the angel of the Lord ascended into the flame of the altar. And Manoah and his wife looked on it and fell on their faces to the ground. But the angel of the Lord did not appear to Manoah and his wife. Then Manoah knew that he was the angel of the Lord. And Manoah said to his wife, we shall surely die, because we have seen God. But his wife said unto him, if the Lord was pleased to kill us, he would not have received a burnt offering and a meat offering at our hands. Neither would we have showed us all these things, nor would at this time have told us such things as these. And the woman bare a son and called his name Samson. And the child grew, and the Lord blessed him. And the Spirit of the Lord began to move him at times at the camp of Dan between Zorah and Eshtaol. The angel of the Lord visited someone. Ain't that amazing? You see, when I was young, I didn't believe in, I believed in ghosts and stuff like that. And I remember my parents would tell me all kind of old wives' tales and stuff about things that go on in the world. And as I became an adult, I became a man, I done blocked out every old wives' tale I heard in my life. Because a lot of those things were designed to stunt my growth. I don't think they meant ill will on it. That was passed down from their parents. It was passed down from the generation before them, and kept going. But I'm gonna tell you one that I grew up on. And after I read the story of Samuel, I was so kind of frustrated, upset, confused, because I'm like, what? Samuel was laying down, and a voice called out his name, Samuel. Now remember what Jesus said. He said, I know my sheep, and I call them by name. By name. I call them by name. I know them. Now, Samuel was called by the Lord multiple times. He even thought Eli, he was like, you call me? No, I ain't call you, man. Go lay back down. And eventually he said, answer the Lord, here I am, Lord. Eventually he had to answer him. Now, when I was young, I used to have encounters like this all the time. But I remember my mom and aunties and other people used to tell me this story. It was like, when you hear a voice calling you, don't answer, it's the devil. It's Satan calling you. I'm like, what? Where did this come from? Now, I'm sure my entire family heard this say. So as a youth, as a child, you hear somebody tell you that if a voice calling you, it's the devil, you're never going to answer it. It's going to put some fear in your heart. Who want to answer the devil? But then when I read the Bible, I was like, man, what if the Lord was trying to contact me all these years? And because of what I was told, and the traditions and the folklore and the folktale of man and woman has distorted the reality of the truth, that it was the Lord trying to reach me. My life probably would have been so much different. But I'm glad I learned this so I can tell you. So when you start hearing these old wives' tales received from the tradition of your fathers and mothers, you know, but think about that. But anyway, I know they ain't got nothing to do with the story. I maybe should have read Samuel. But no, I just want to tell you that how things are distorted over time. But the angel of the Lord is God. It's God. It's God himself. The angel of the Lord is. Goes before you, talks with you. I am. Are you the one that came? I am. There's a lot of code in the Bible. I am. I am. We've been visited by God. They finally came to the revelation that God himself visited them. And they offered him an offering. And he accepted it. Right? I know it's a little confusing. But think about it. That's why you should treat people good. You'll be surprised who might have a message for you. That's why I keep going back to the New Testament. He said, when you did it to the least of them, you did it to me. You know, it's nothing wrong with having a conversation with a total stranger. You never know who that total stranger may be. Might got some good news for you. Might got a warning for you, as we saw with Lot. Hey, God sent us to destroy this place. In this case, hey, I got a son. Your son is going to be a blessing. He's going to start to deliver the people. Should I bring up the New Testament story? Christ, the birth of Christ himself. When Mary was visited and Joseph was visited. Who else was visited by somebody? What is Zacchaeus, whatever his name is, John's father? And he doubted, his mouth was shut up for a whole 9 months. Shut your mouth up. You'll be surprised who's walking around in this earth. Strangers. Now, take animals. Animals. We already know the Lord can speak through a donkey. You see, the Lord can do anything. What if a dog came to your house, hungered and starving and thirsty, and it was the Lord, and you beat the dog? I'm just being real, boy. When you start living for God, you look at things totally different. You don't even want to do insects no harm. When I first became a Christian, the first thing God opened my eyes up to was his creation. And what I mean by that is nature. I started noticing the clouds that I never paid attention to, the trees that I never paid attention to. And I remember when I found God on that fateful day, years ago. And I remember during that time period, I couldn't eat nothing. I had left church, I couldn't eat nothing. I finally went to church, and God, I gave my life over to God, and I came home. I haven't eaten right in probably a month. And I think I was very strong spiritually then, because I didn't realize I was fasting and didn't even know it. But when I came, I had many spiritual encounters around that time frame. But one, I was just chilling because I was hungry. But I didn't have an appetite. But I was hungry, but I didn't have an appetite. And I'm sitting down. I left church, gave my life to God. He opened my eyes up to the Bible, and I'm sitting up praying, seeking him. Because I spent a lot of time outside during this time frame. And a squirrel came across a fence. I know people are like, well, whatever, man. That's what you wanted to see. Well, take it how you want it. If you ain't spiritual, you probably gonna understand what I'm saying anyway. If you're spiritual, you will. But I'm sitting there on the fence, and a squirrel came and sat right on the fence with some acorn or something to eat, and started eating. And a voice in my head said, eat too. And my appetite came back. From observing what was going on. I was already seeking God. And here he appears in the form of a squirrel, telling me to eat. Do you understand, people? It's time to wake up. Don't you want spiritual encounters? Don't you want the Lord telling you certain things? Don't you want the Lord to assist you in your life? I do. You know, I love spiritual encounters. I seek after them on a daily basis. I don't always have them, but sometimes God is so good, he give you that encounter. I done told people about 2 random strangers I never seen before. Tell me some things about myself that only God can know. And then I never seen them again. Never seen them again. And the thing is, people knew them. Now this is the thing. People around them knew them, but they didn't know him. Let me say this again. People around knew him, but they didn't know him. So to them, he was just a regular drunk. One time I was in a place called Goodwater, Alabama. I was with some friends. And we were standing around the fire. We spent a lot of time outside around the fire. They was country. And they'll just plug a chicken and we just make a fire out of stuff in the woods and just cook that mug and eat it and cook some potatoes outside. I'm like, wow, I like this countryside living. And one of their people, they knew the guy. And he came up, but they didn't know the guy. You ain't hearing me. They knew the guy, but they didn't know the guy. They didn't know him. They was like, man, this dude crazy. He always talking that crazy stuff, man. Don't even listen to him. And the dude came to me. And a voice, this before I found God, a voice in my head said, listen, see what he got to say. And he told me many things about my life. He told me something. He was like, God didn't make you to stand in. He didn't make you to, blend in. God made you to stand out. And he told me many other things. And I knew it was God talking through him because of what he was saying. A person that never seen him before. And then after that, he left. And if I really think back, that's when a lot of things started happening in my life after that encounter. I haven't given my life over to God yet, but when that encounter happened, many things started happening behind it. I started going through heavy-duty spiritual warfare after that. And the confirmation of it, after I gave my life to God, I moved back to my hometown, Mobile, Alabama, and I was in a place called the Campgrounds, and another stranger came up. Everybody knew him, but they didn't know him. Everybody knew him, but they didn't know him. They was like, yeah, that's so-and-so, whatever. And he pulled me to the side again. This after I found God. Hey, Houston. Or he probably didn't call my name, or he just started talking to me. Hey, I made you, God made you to stand out, not blend in. And he was telling me, and the thing is, I was drinking. He wasn't beating me up over my alcohol consumption. He wasn't beating me up over, he's like, basically, I don't want you like them. And he was drinking himself. And I'm like, man, this is no coincidence. Two different people on two different occasions in two different cities spoke to me in regards to my life. You can kind of say they prophesied over my life. Now, an angel, you can be an angel. Why? I'm gonna tell you how you know that. Because God speaks through us. Let me pause and I will continue.